Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I am a Western astrologer and Twin Flame channel, and this is a video about the Libra full moon taking place on April 1st at 10:11 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, definitely check a time zone converter for your local time. This will be the update for soulmates, twin flames, divine counterparts, and the divine connection community. Here is our Libra full moon there at the 12th degree of Libra. And this is an interesting one as a close to the last astrological year. This is the final full moon, the final lunation of the last astrological year. We see this full moon having communication with both Jupiter by square, divine masculine energy, Juno, who is connected to Pluto, mostly with Pluto, not so much with Juno, but Juno's influence is pretty merged with Pluto as this conjunction perfects before she heads retrograde this year. Um, and this means that the counterpart energy is bookending the back half of the last astrological new year, meaning the integration of lessons and growth that's unfolding in the divine counterpart fields is having an emanation, intensity effect on the collective as a whole. Our energies are more concentrated, they are more potent because of the frequency of love that we are living in. That being said, the actions that we take don't take, the energies that how we use this energy instead of letting it use us has significant repercussions in the collective in terms of spinning timelines out of our field that other people are able to pick up on and tap into. Our way showership also has influence that's very potent under the light of this full moon. Okay. We also see here a conjunction to the shaman's asteroid for this full moon. We see a square to Pholus in Capricorn, who is also opposite Jupiter, the divine masculine energy. We're going to talk about that in a minute, what that means for divine masculine energetic fields. We also see a sextile to Lilith in Sagittarius. Okay, all together, and I go into rich detail about this in the Lightworker Lunar Update. This is an energy that, to the uninitiated, is going to feel like the universe is testing you. But for those of us who are more adept at understanding the universe's communication with us, the way that divine loves us and wants to see us live in love here on earth, this is an energy of a little checkup to ensure that we don't need certain lessons broken down into smaller bites in the next cycle for full and total integration into our ascended timelines in love. Okay. Now, so much more rich detail over there. Definitely go check it out. I'm going to move now into what Juno, the divine feminine, is doing, what her energy field is filled with, so that you can source from this energy at this lunar update. So we see her conjunct Pluto. This is an interesting energy. As I mentioned, she is about to be retrograde for a good 4 months of this year. She's going to touch Pluto a bit more directly before heading back out of Aquarius and moving into Capricorn. Her focus during this retrograde is all about structure and way showership in communities, leadership in groups. That's Aquarian energy. And so, if you've been feeling really called to facilitate foundation in your life, whether that is up leveling in a work career space or sense, or that is changing where you live and how you live and who you live among, shifts in your friendship circle and community so that you are better supported and thus prepared for the times ahead of us. This is a function of Juno planting herself in between the signs of Aquarius, communities, and Capricorn, work, boundaries, and structure, while connecting with Pluto, personal power, in preparation for this retrograde. This energy has Juno strongly in her power heading into this retrograde. There was an energy of compromise as she began in shadow here, or not in shadow, an energy of compromise as she wrapped up the last astrological year. She conjuncted with Pholus. That energy really let us know collectively, you know what? Here's what needs to end in your field, whether it was some sort of way of interacting in connection, behaviors in your private life, too many walls, too little boundaries, these sorts of things, under earning, knowing you need to step up in your way showership, and also step up in your self-support, self-sourcing for charging what you do. All of these things are part of Juno's work. We would have got on notice when she crossed over Pholus back in Capricorn season. Hey, this is what's got to come out of your energy to get on the next timeline. Now she's conjunct with power, preparing to go retrograde. She just moved into shadow. This is what's going to allow us to see, okay, in order for us to stand in power, here's the actions that must get taken. There's honor here, there's structure here, there's a call to integrity and wholeness here. Because she's also sextile Saturn, who represents structure, boundaries, and integrity, and Neptune. That's that spiritual connection to higher self here, while she's in the sign of the collective. Okay. This spiritual resoluteness is really fortifying our chosen pathways and timelines. And you may really feel that coursing through your energetic veins, this sense of certainty, knowingness, and potency about the authority that you walk with in your sovereignty here on earth. We also see a square to Venus and Ceres in Taurus. And those of you who did the union workshop, like I strung together a lot of empowering words there, but you already know what this means in terms of actions, behaviors, things that you want to shift in your third dimensional reality. Those of you who have been doing your attachment work, reparenting yourself, getting yourself beyond just knowing your attachment style and getting yourself into secure and actually taking actions that allow you to operate as secure in partnership. This particular full moon is going to help you land the plane in a far more secure place than you've ever been, regardless of your attachment style. This Venus energy inside of Taurus, she is conjunct Ceres here, and together they're both speaking to Juno over here. This is a strong indication for closing a chapter, season, or cycle, in addition to the previous aspects, especially if that chapter just hasn't been aligned with the ascension of your connection, right? If that chapter included a whole bunch of running and chasing, a whole lot of hot and cold in and out, a whole lot of uncertainty on your side, on their side, a whole lot of confusion or chaos, a whole lot of looping around and around, a whole lot of third parties, and you're not built or structured for integritous polyamory here. This energy is calling upon us to collectively step into the new time by no longer participating or actually closing out. Thank you, Ceres in third dimensional sign Taurus, closing out our connection to, dabbling in, tolerance of, over functioning under the weight of insecure attachment behaviors. And this Pluto energy here. Whenever Pluto and Ceres are in a conversation, it's like closure upon closure, baby. And both of them speaking to human feminine Venus and divine feminine Juno, you better believe there is absolutely an ending here in the divine feminine fields. But this doesn't mean closing out your connection. The connection's eternal. It's not going to end till you and this person have merged back with source. It's not possible. But I know you have seen in the comment section on my videos in recent months all the people who get up in there and talk about how they're walking away, talk about how they're releasing the connection, talking about how it's over for them, almost as if they got to break up with me. And I wasn't in your connection with peace and love. Like, I'm just here trying to help you have what it is you say you want. Do what you must in your connection, but I'm not the one holding it together. You're the emanation. The timeline emanates from you, not from me. That being said, there's absolutely a chapter closing, but chapters closing don't mean connections ending. It means connections evolving. And if we're not participating actively in connections evolution, even if that's just closing out doubt, negativity, closing out ego, being the one that's driving connection, and instead stepping into faith and spirit and higher level knowing, driving connection. Even if that's all you're doing here, even that is participation in calling in the merge of the 3D and the 5D, which is what this next chapter for divine counterparts is all about as we head toward the next union window. So, that being said, know that it may feel like there is an ending here. Like I said, these connections are eternal. Whether you make that an ending about the connection closing itself, or you allow this to be a chapter closing so that a higher timeline chapter can open, that's between you and God, you and Source, you and your higher selves in connection, right? I can't force that to happen. Only you can do that. You are the timeline, baby. It emanates from us. So, all of that to say, um, there are some connections that will also be closing. In the last set of channeled messages I put out on this channel, and then my guides were like, take a break because there's too many people hooking into this who actually are not on a divine counterpart path, and they need to fall out of this community so that this community is concentrated for those who are continuing. They got enamored, they got lured, they got stimulated by the idea of twin flame. You guys remember this. And it was time for those people to roll out of the collective consciousness concerning divine counterpartship. And so they were like sharing the channeled messages and the energy in the collective. And I snuck that information into these lunar updates for divine counterparts. A lot of you saw some additions to those coming in through your inbox when I shared, the private list when these lunar updates were live. Like I'd say, and also my guide said this, this, and this about this. If you're not on the private list, like, what are you doing? Like that is where the other juice is. Like, I want to connect with you and help you. Let yourself be helped. That being said, there were people. And I shared this, I think as early as like 2022, 2021. My guides had showed me like an unzipping of certain connections as well. And so the people who were not going to be in connection because it just was never this, it was never that for them. They were ascension partners, they were karmic soulmates, they were something else. Those people are now falling out. They're leaving and departing connection in totality. There's closure there. Their heart is not in it, and that's a beautiful thing. You got what you needed. You got the activation and you're free. You can go and like share this love energy in your next connection through living in the higher level honoring of self-love. On the flip side, there are those who have divine counterparts that, for reasons, aren't with us any longer. They have exited the planet, or the divine counterpart has shut down in totality to the connection. If your choice has been and was and continues to be union, here's the thing: there will be activations taking place of counterparts whose counterpart has done the same thing for you and this person to step into divine connection on the planet. This is part of the entire plan concerning making sure that higher order, higher level of love and connection is available as frequency to tap into here on planet Earth. Because in this next chapter of Earth's unfoldment, it's going to be necessary, not as an idea, not as a Hollywood fairy tale, but specifically as something people can look at and point to and say, hey, I want to be that. I want for you and me and a partner's frequency to radiate so much love incarnate. So be such an example of light, be such an example of love that we are showing people how to rewrite the templates for love and connection and what's possible just through our being, just through our existence. So if you've chosen that, and for reasons, your counterpart is just no longer available. I've had several people tell me their counterpart has exited the planet and merged with them in totality. And so while they're still here, another counterpart is being prepared for them. My guides told me that would happen back in 2020 before everything broke out. And I shared that channeled message at that time. Um, they have also shared that a, a rematching. You will get unzipped from one and then zipped up to another. A soul merge with another will be possible if union has been your choice. You will have found yourself in the second part that comes after the purification process in and around these parts 2027, 2028, 2029, as we head into the next union window. So I'll be talking about what does come after the twin flame purification process shortly here. I heard y'all when you said you wanted to know. Channeled message upcoming. And just know that whichever group you fall into, hey, this whole thing isn't for me because I just don't want to. Like I have landed in the place where my heart is no longer in it. I'm no longer in love with this person. I got the lesson I needed, and I'm ready to move on to live in love with someone who's available to me because I'm now more available to me than I've ever been. Or if you're in the group who lost a counterpart, but your choice is union, or if you're just in a group who's closing a chapter and then heading into the next chapter, this Libra full moon is a definitive change. It is a movement into a new cycle. It's a movement into a new season. And a big part of that is also because the original divine counterpart to Gaia, that's Uranus here, is having communication with her as she kicks off this retrograde shadow season in the closure of the last astrological year. I find it very interesting as well that this full moon is in Libra. The divine counterpart's next meetup in late 2028 will also be in Libra. That is our sign of partnership. Their last meetup was in the sign of Aries as a sign of the self. We are now wrapping up union with self cycle and headed into the beginning of union with another cycle. So whichever way that's happening for you, bless it, like celebrate it. Like we are at the end of a very long cycle that has been challenging for so many. And I want to leave you with this before we move on to um, talking about what's going on with the divine masculine energetic field. I want to leave you with this. Love has not, love is not, and love will not ever leave you. It can't. It's not possible. It has not brought you this far to leave you. And if you integrate nothing from this Libra full moon as a lesson with Shaman's asteroid conjunct the full moon, also speaking to Juno here, let that land. Okay, so before we get into what's going on in the divine masculine energetic fields, I want to let you know if you've been on the fence about it, the doors to Star Club are closing um, for the first quarter cohorts. What shocked me about this community that I wasn't anticipating, but should have probably realized given the work I'm tasked with here on the planet, is that over half of our members in Star Club identify as divine counterparts. Um, and of that over half, almost exactly half of them, just a little bit more, have done the union workshop. And so the conversation that I've been having with you all about sovereignty and choice and the capacity to have what you want and standing in faith and knowing who you are as a divine creator incarnate, that conversation is absolutely continuing here in Star Club. Star Club's reading memberships that come with one-on-one time with me have sold out. There will be no more of those publicly available until June. However, you can join as a Stellium member. And as a Stellium member, you get direct access to not just me, but a supportive community for your connection. And we will have a lot of time to go deeper together. There are lunar circles. That's one type of event where we go deeper into the energy with both journal prompts and ritual work for every single lunation so that you're able to anchor this energy with a bit more intentionality instead of being in watch and wait energy. There's live readings for full moon members. Thank you, all of you who joined us, full moon members. Full moon members, I'm doing synastry readings. I'm looking at charts of themselves, the connection, their family, their kids, so that they can be better way showers in connection. And you get to learn from that in real time. There's member voted lives. This is the third type of live event inside of Star Club. And member voted lives are where you ask me what I can create a chart for. You tell me what you want to look at. I'll create a chart for it and tell you what I see. And then the last type of live event are these events where I deep dive into astrological updates. I did the Aquarius Leo eclipse cycle for all 12 signs, Saturn, Neptune, and Aries for all 12 signs. I am going to also be doing Juno retrograde for all 12 signs. We'll also be talking about Jupiter changing signs and going into Leo for all 12 signs. This is going to constitute a bit of resurrection energy and divine masculine energetic space, which is going to be critical to be able to recognize the signs of, if you are one of those who is moving forward, knowing you are a divine counterpart in love, whether it's with someone who Source makes available to you or with the divine counterpart you started the journey with a while back. That being said, doors are going to close on Friday the 27th. I wish I could have gotten this out earlier. There's just so much on my plate. Um, but if you're catching this before Friday, March 27th, join before 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Become a Stellium member, and we'll be able to go much deeper together on how you can utilize this energy in connection and having your connection ascend. Okay? And getting on that higher timeline for love. Let's talk about what's going on for Jupiter and Cancer. And if you need to, pause this video now and go over there and sign up. The link to join is just below. Uh, there is a chance I could have fallen asleep at 11:59 p.m. Eastern and not been awake to close the doors. But if you catch it, welcome. I'm so glad you're a part of our community who's anchoring union. It's really great to have you. All right, here's Jupiter in Cancer, our divine masculine energy. 15 degrees, we have a rising to integrate the lessons learned during Jupiter's retrograde season. This would have been square the new moon, conjunct the shaman's asteroid there in Libra, and can make us optimistic beyond reason to the point of almost being careless if we aren't being intentional or cavalier about implementing everything we learned in Jupiter and retrograde in Cancer season. Now, again, as mentioned in the Lightworker Lunar Update, it could feel like a test, but it's not really. It's just a checkup. Do we need lessons in smaller, more digestible chunks? Are we ready to move forward to the next level of embodiment of love in the 3D? The lessons have a lot to do with family, mothers, and emotions, and how we handle boundaries in connection. I've been through this in great detail over the last several lunar updates for divine counterparts. If you've noticed that there have been major changes in your connection since November, check out some of the last lunar updates I've done for divine counterparts. I go into great detail about what Jupiter retrograde from November to this month, the 11th to the 11th. You can't make this stuff up. Jupiter went retrograde on 11/11 and went direct on 3/11. Like, come on. If there's not a divine plan here trying to support you and back you up, I don't know. Like, what are you believing? Like, come, there has to be. So all of that to say, I found that hilariously amusing because it's like, yeah, I got your back, baby, and I'm about to change your connection. Just trust. I'm about to change things for you in a great way. But first, we have to integrate this work around feminine, emotional, mothering, and family energy as a divine masculine energy within ourselves. Okay. Um, we also have this opposition to Pholus here in Capricorn. And this can generate loss if we're clinging to the way things used to be and placing our new self in old timelines, interacting with old stimulation, with old reactions. This is where if you've done any attachment style work, as I mentioned earlier, um, and know not just what your attachment style is, but how to become secure, this is where that's going to be immensely helpful because this energy has the potential to drag us right back into responding to emotional stimulation with reactivity from our attachment style if we're not integrating the lessons of the shaman's asteroid in Libra conjunct this full moon. We also see a trine to Vesta, Mercury, Nessus Pallas, and Mars. Vesta, Mercury, Nessus, Pallas, Mars. The whole squad wants to talk to Jupiter here from the sign of Pisces, which is a beautiful higher level spiritual higher self sort of emanation flowing into our divine masculine energetic fields, making sure that we integrate these lessons. And a lot of this, I want to speak to this for those of you who still really identify, for whatever reason, sometimes it's light works in leadership, sometimes it's lessons, and very polaric energies. And by polaric, I mean you are looking at your connection and going, that over there is my divine masculine. This over here, I am the divine feminine. We all have both energies. And this is why I speak the way I speak about it in our lunar updates. Not only do we all have both energies, but the more unified we are with those energies within ourselves, the more unified we'll be with these energies outside of ourselves, as above, so below, as without, so within, as on heaven, on earth, as on earth, in heaven. We are moving into a season of the merge of the 3D and the 5D, not separation, which means there will also be a closure to identification of masculine and feminine as poles, and instead, interior masculinity and femininity as personal identity. So, for those of you who are just acclimating to this, right? You're just starting to understand this and your awareness, like what that means and what that feels like and what that looks like. In the divine masculine energy fields, this is a lot of subconscious. Pisces governs the subconscious, the collective unconscious, the unseen realms. This is a lot of energy in the unseen realms, calibrating for action as Jupiter leaves Cancer and then moves into Leo. There's a lot of energy here that is supporting subconscious, emotional, deeper levels of work that you may not see on the surface at this time, especially if there's a lot of still very polaric energy happening in your consciousness around connection. Like I don't identify with any of this. I'm the divine feminine K moon. They are the divine masculine. If that's the case, for whatever reason, sometimes it's leadership reasons why you need to be in polaric energy with your counterpart. If that polaric energy is showing itself, this may be a very quiet time where the divine masculine energy is doing a lot of interior, solo, quiet, personal, subconscious, not able to fully articulate work. That articulation comes, but it's not necessarily right now. And for those of you who are in communication and connection, you're far more integrated. And this season, again, could be for reasons having to do with your way showership, what you're here to do at this time. And that changes in seasons, right? You have that integrated energy. You may find that this is where you're sleeping a lot, you're feeling very emotional, you are processing a lot of old material for release. You're reprocessing memories and releasing from the memory banks emotions that have held timelines static for looping. And instead of now, like all this action, because it's Aries season, divine masculine is in the sign that it was in last year. It doesn't get into the new sign until June. Divine masculine energy awakens when Jupiter moves into Leo and then catches up a bit with the collective. There's almost like divine feminine leading the front, divine masculine bringing up the rear as we all walk into this collective timeline shift. And because we have both energies, we're all doing both simultaneously. And so there can be this energy for those who are far more integrated of like just feeling a little bit of emotional processing at this time. Emotional integration, spiritual integration, a lot of it is happening through sleep. Some of it's happening in restructuring family systems to make room for union. That's the Cancerian energy. Some of it's happening in self-reparenting. Cancer also represents families. And so some of it is becoming the parent you never had in this energy as you work through the challenges that this full moon in Libra is bringing to the table to close a chapter. Okay. We also see a square to Chiron and Eris in Aries here. And this is where the triggering, the stimulation, the sense of feeling maybe let me put it this way. It's an opportunity to use an old level of consciousness to explain what's happening. Um, and the old level of consciousness that these two want us to be very aware of is a story of being left out, disenfranchised, abandoned, rejected. If you have been chosen as a divine counterpart, the construct of rejection is almost oxymoronic if you've chosen to incarnate that way in this lifetime. It's not possible. Regardless of what your eyes see and your ears hear in the third dimension, because these connections are too eternal. They don't break. Separation was always just an illusion. It was never real. It was always just an opportunity to experience self from another aspect. So the invitation to process it like rejection is here, but the opportunity to see the truth that you're always connected, you're never not, is also here. We get to choose. And I love that for us. I love how kind, how loving, how benevolent our universe is, that how the divine organized and created this universe, that both energies could show themselves at the same time so that we have access to choice. We have access to free will. We have access to our divine creatorship to jump onto a new timeline if we would like that. I love that for us. As always, thank you for engaging with this content. Your likes, your watches, your hypes, your shares, and your subscribes. If you're new here, welcome. And letting the ads roll for 30 seconds in the background before you skip. Those things all let YouTube know that they should share this with people who are ready for it like you. And if you'd like to take this deeper, join me in Star Club. I would love to welcome you into our community. As I mentioned, doors are about to close on March 27th, which is roughly 24 hours. Well, almost 48 hours. Well, no, 36? I don't know. Me and math, we're not doing it right now. They gonna close quick after this update has been posted. Stellium membership is what you want to do. It'll give you first dibs on opportunities to read with me when full moon and new moon open up. They'll also give you access to 25% off of relationship readings with me and one-on-one readings with me immediately after you join when the reading calendar is open. Okay? I love you guys. Thank you so much. Take great care and bye for now.